Greetings, I'm Dr. Nilsson, founder of Nilsson Holistic. Let's do a little recap of our last video on, we talked about 23andMe and we trained a little bit about what they're doing. I didn't mention all the tests they used to do. Back in 2013 they're doing 254 genetic health tests to find out really what's going on, what you're predisposed to. So I want to review a little bit at some of the trends. We'll talk about how to change your epigenome, and then how you can actually, what we did before. How did we take a family history? What we call the family history before the genetic testing, before 2Genomics, before 23andMe, before these different types of genetic testing. Now, to give you a little bit more background on 23andMe, I didn't really explain, but when you watch these crime scenes, CSI, and they will get one single strand of hair, and they can 100% tell who this person is. Or they'll get one drop of blood and they can say, hey, this is this person, right? Well, what 23andMe is doing is they'll actually take, they don't take it, but you get a kit, you have 12 months to send in this kit, and this kit, you collect your saliva, send it in, and from that, back in 2013, they were testing 254 different type of gene sequences to find out what you might be predisposed to. As I explained in the last video, the FDA says, hey, people might get so scared that they're predisposed to cancer, so instead of talking to their doctor and changing their healthy eating habits and lifestyles, they might just go and get their prostate removed. All right, so with all of that, I mentioned that yes, they're working on getting that back up and running, because the DNA says, okay, that portion you need to shut down. You can still keep the DNA portion of ancestral profiling or finding out where your ancestors are from, but you need to shut that down. I also mentioned that 23andMe just announced recently that they're forming a team to be able to start once again the full genetic sequence for health and predispositions to certain types of diseases and conditions. So that's kind of in a nutshell. From all that, what do we gather? I kind of talked about the do's and don'ts, or the pros and cons of 23andMe and genetic testing. For me, I think it's phenomenal because of a trend, also some cautionary trends. So the trend that people are saying, hey, I want to prevent illness, I want to prevent disease, I'm going to get my genetic testing done so I can see what's going on. Now, you can't do that right now, but in the past, I'm going to do that so I can actually find out. There's a lot more preventative maintenance type preventative healthcare going on. That's exciting. That's a trend. Another trend is people want to know their family history. They want to know where they've come from. They want to know their ancestors. They want to know if they had cool people in their family history or uncool. But just so you know, everyone has cool people. I mean, I believe in a higher power. I call him God or Heavenly Father. We're all cool, all right? There's some degree of coolness in you. People want to find out that trend. Also, the trend is that we live in the grand information age. We're no longer in the industrial age. With that, you look at the founder of Google, the co-founder, Sergey Brin, and then his wife started 23andMe, Anna W. Like I say, I don't want to butcher her last name, Wojcik, I say. And again, gathering information. So once you release that information, you're releasing your genetic information. Now, some of you might have the question, can I use an alias? I don't know. Maybe some of you could comment and let me know, because I actually tried to contact 23andMe, but I wasn't able to contact them, and I was going to shoot this video, so I didn't find out. So maybe somebody does know. Does 23andMe allow you to do an alias? Because the cautionary, maybe some people think it's a con, maybe it's a pro for some people, but once you release that genetic information, it's out there. Just kind of like Google. Once Google has your information, or any other search engine, not picking on Google or Bing or anybody else, but once they have your information, it's out there. That's why there's so much going on with fraudulent activity as far as taking your identity, right? Identity theft. So those were some of the pros and cons of 23andMe and genetic testing, is the fact that yes, they'll have your information. And should an insurance company get a hold of that information, they might deny you certain coverages. They might deny you the ability to have life insurance and those type of things. Now, right now, they say, oh, we'd never share that. It's private. It's under the, I can't remember, G something privacy, but who knows within the future, as we've seen with a lot of search engines as well. It used to be private, but once it's out there, it's not really private, as we know. So those are some of the summaries of what we talked about in the last discussion on DNA and the human genome. Now, let's talk about some of the things that we can do. So you can't get your test right now per se. You can still go through some doctors and get it, but let's say you can't. Most of you aren't going to be able to just go out there and get it. What can we do? Dean Ornish did some pretty cool studies showing that we can actually control or change our DNA. And there's some pretty cool research on 23andMe. They've actually done starting to show like exercising, how that changes your fat cells and the DNA to do certain things to be able to change life patterns. That's what we call the epigenome, or above the gene. It's what controls the genetic expression. So Dean Ornish did some amazing research on that. And there's a couple of key factors that I gather from him to be able to change your genetic expression. Positive mental attitude, being able to eat healthy. What you take in is, man, probably 80%. Think of this. Food. What is food? Information. I gave you the hint earlier. We live in the information age. Food, again, is information. So what information are you giving to your body and it's expressing itself? Information. Jogging, that's information. Lifting weights, that's information. Healthy eating, I already said that. Other types of exercises, like a burst type exercise, which I really like, increasing human growth hormone for the next 36 hours, information. That's information. The positive mental attitude I talked about, that is information. The sense of having socially interacting, not just social media, that's one form, but true social interaction, being able to love, but also to be loved. You know, I've talked about studies where they've done, and they've shown people have beaten all the major illnesses and diseases by having a sense of neighborhood, community, and truly loving, but also being and feeling love. So some of those key components to truly changing your epigenome. And one other component, and I'm super, super keen on this, is very, very important, are your emotions and how you're able to handle stress. Are you able to handle stress? Do you know how to release stress? I will be doing a series on less stress eventually, doing some videos on less stress. Now, what did we do before all of that? Before we knew all of that, we took an amazing family history, and we still do. I recommend you getting 4 generations of your family history. So you, siblings, finding out major diseases, major illnesses of parents, if they're still alive, grandparents, and great-grandparents. What did they die of? How did they come into this world? What were their situations economically, financially, job, money, finance, career, time, self, money, God, their relationships, all those things, but also, go through all the systems from head to toe, including the eyes, ears, nose, throat, any problems with any of those, any of the thoracic cavity, the abdomen and the organs, any problems with infertility. I mean, are you having problems with infertility? I know a lot of people watch these that do, because we help so many people with infertility. But family history of infertility, hormones. Were you birthed simply? Were you cesarean section? Were you natural birth? Was it done at home? Was it done in the hospital? All these different things. The more information you can collect, it's like in the old cryptic analog, right? Before digital, like ancient writing on slate with chalk, family history, and finding out your health history, your family health history. So 4 generations. I think what I'll do is I'll actually just create a PDF, and then it'll help you, and you can fill it out. I'll give a link or something that you can actually go and fill it out. But otherwise, just in the meantime, go through all the systems, but really try to find out 4 generations. Get your own health history. How did you come into this world? And go through all your years. Major emotions. major crises, major hospitalizations, those type of things, but then also the minors, just the simple day-to-day activities. That will help you get a better picture of what you're predisposed to, and then what we can do to prevent things before we're in the grand, we're like looking over the Grand Canyon of disease. Don't get to the Grand Canyon and look over. Stay as far away from the Grand Canyon of disease as possible, and that's what genetic testing is going to do for us. But also, looking at your family history will help you look at what you're predisposed to as well, and staying as far away from that Grand Canyon of disease as possible before you actually become diabetic, before you actually have the heart attack, before you actually have a stroke. I leave you with this thought one more time. Send out love and be loved. I am Dr. Nielsen. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. And remember this, live in fullness every day.